According to information from our reliable source, the Biafran Defense Force engaged with Nigerian army in a heavy gun battle in Orlu, Imo State, with reports of innocent civilians being arrested or killed. Some critics have condemned Nigerian security forces for targeting civilians instead of engaging directly with the Biafran Liberation Army in the forests. Many residents have fled their ancestral homes due to the ongoing violence, which some critics attributes to Nigerian government-backed forces rather than the Biafran Liberation Army. A recent revelation by former Nigerian President Ibrahim Babangida claims that the 1966 coup was not an Igbo-led event, which led to Igbo socio-cultural group Ohaneze Indigbo demanding 10 trillion naira in compensation from the Nigerian government. Meanwhile, some critics have criticized those demanding financial compensation, arguing that true justice lies in securing the release of detained Biafran leaders and achieving independence rather than seeking financial gains. The main demand from Biafra activists is for President Bola Tinubu to sign their exit from Nigeria, emphasizing that monetary compensation is not a priority. They highlight ongoing police harassment and corruption, particularly officers extorting money and searching civilians unlawfully. They claim that police officers accept bribes at checkpoints, allowing criminals to move freely while harassing ordinary citizens. I remember the day I first heard about the heavy gun battle that took place in Orlu, Imo State, and it felt as if the world had suddenly shifted into a state of turmoil. It was not just another headline that I could scroll past on my phone. It was a story that touched the heart of every person who had ever known the pain of conflict and the fear of losing one's home. I was sitting with a cup of warm tea, trying to make sense of the chaos unfolding in a place I had only known through stories of resilience and struggle. The news was that the Biafran Defense Force had engaged in a fierce gun battle with the Nigerian army in Orlu, a town in Imo State, and the repercussions were immediately felt in the hearts and homes of many innocent people. I had always been curious about the history and the many layers of the conflict in this region. The Biafran Defense Force, which many see as the voice of those who long for independence and justice, had taken a stand, and the Nigerian army responded with overwhelming force. What struck me most was the way the story unfolded, not as a series of detached reports, but as a dramatic, almost cinematic confrontation between two forces that represented very different visions of power and governance. I could almost see the silhouettes of soldiers against a smoky sky and hear the echoes of gunfire, while the cries of frightened civilians wove through the din of the battle. As I listened more intently to the accounts coming from various reliable sources, I learned that there were disturbing reports of innocent civilians being caught in the crossfire. Some were even arrested or killed in the chaos that ensued. I felt a deep sense of sorrow as I imagined families torn apart by the violence and communities shattered by the relentless sounds of conflict. Many residents had no choice but to flee from their ancestral homes in search of safety. Their stories of escape were filled with heartache and uncertainty, as they left behind the only places they had ever known, places that held their memories, their traditions, and their dreams. The controversy surrounding the incident was not limited to the immediate loss of life and property. A number of critics soon began to condemn the actions of the Nigerian security forces, arguing that they had targeted civilians instead of engaging directly with the Biafran Liberation Army, which was believed to be hiding in the thick forests. These critics maintained that if the Nigerian army truly wanted to quell the unrest, they should have taken the fight to the forests where the Biafran Liberation Army was operating. Instead, they accused the forces of indiscriminately arresting and even killing civilians, a tactic that only served to fan the flames of anger and despair among the local population. In the midst of all this, there was also a political twist that further complicated an already volatile situation. A former president of Nigeria, Ibrahim Babangida, made a revelation that sent shockwaves through the community. He claimed that the coup of 1966, a pivotal event in Nigerian history, was not led by Igbo people, as many had long believed. This statement, coming from a man who had once held the highest office in the country, was enough to spark outrage among members of the Igbo community. The Igbo socio-cultural group, known as Ohaneze Indigbo, quickly demanded an astronomical sum of 10 trillion naira from the Nigerian government as compensation for what they considered to be historical injustices. I could feel the tension in the air as the demand for such a staggering amount of money was discussed, with some people arguing that it was a desperate attempt to rewrite history rather than a genuine quest for justice. It wasn't just the monetary issues that stirred emotions. Many voices from within the movement for Biafran independence were quick to point out that true justice could never be achieved simply by compensating for past wrongs. They argued that what was really needed was for the Nigerian government, and specifically President Bola Tinubu, to formally sign off on the exit of Biafra from Nigeria. For these activists, the goal was never to line the pockets of a select few, but to secure the freedom and dignity of a people who had long suffered under a system they felt was inherently unjust. They emphasized that while financial compensation might offer temporary relief, it would never address the deeper issues of police harassment, corruption, and the systemic abuse of power that had plagued the nation for decades. I found myself reflecting on the personal stories of those caught in the turmoil. I recalled the harrowing accounts of everyday citizens whose lives had been upended by the actions of those in power. There were stories of families forced to abandon their homes in the middle of the night, leaving behind everything they had built over generations. I could almost feel the weight of their sorrow and the bitter taste of betrayal as they watched their communities crumble under the weight of violence and state-sanctioned repression. These were not distant events happening in an abstract political arena. They were real lives, with real hopes and dreams now hanging in the balance. One of the most striking aspects of the unfolding drama was the way in which the Nigerian security forces were behaving on the ground. There were vivid accounts of armed groups, sometimes even referred to by names that carried the weight of history and local law, conducting raids on villages and neighborhoods with a brutality that defied reason. I remember listening to a report from a channel called Magnetic Jigs Television, where the host described scenes of chaos and lawlessness in a small village in Imo State. The description was raw and unfiltered. It was a scene where young men, women, and even children were being rounded up on the spot, their faces etched with fear and confusion. The host passionately argued that if the Nigerian army truly wanted to engage the Biafran Liberation Army, they should do so in the forest where these fighters were believed to be hiding, instead of terrorizing innocent people in their own communities. The language used by the host was both simple and powerful. He spoke with a mixture of anger and sadness, as if he too was a victim of the same system he was criticizing. I could hear the passion in his voice as he described how the security forces, instead of taking the fight to the enemy, were busy harassing civilians, stopping young men on the street, and even dragging people away from their workplaces. It was as if the entire spirit of justice had been replaced by a thirst for power and control. The host questioned the very legitimacy of these actions, insisting that the only way to achieve real peace and freedom was to confront the enemy directly, to fight them face to face in the wilderness, and not to subject the local population to such cruel treatment. In the midst of this heated debate, another layer of complexity was added by discussions about the history of Nigeria itself. The revelation by former President Ibrahim Babangida had not only stirred up old wounds, but had also led to heated debates about who was truly responsible for the tragedies of the past. There were those who believed that the events of 1966 had been misrepresented for political gain, while others saw it as an opportunity to demand reparations for the countless injustices that had been inflicted on their people over the years. The Igbo socio-cultural group, known by their full name Ohaneze Indigbo, became the voice of a community that had long felt marginalized and betrayed by the state. Their call for 10 trillion naira in compensation was not merely a financial demand, it was a symbolic gesture, a way of saying that the pain of history could never be measured in money, but that it still needed to be acknowledged and addressed. Yet, even as these demands were made, many within the Biafran activist community were quick to point out that money was not what they truly wanted. They argued that the real issue was the continued oppression by the state, the ongoing police brutality, and the deep-seated corruption that had allowed these abuses to flourish. In their view, true justice would only be achieved when the leaders who had been detained, the voices of the Biafran struggle, were set free, and when the Nigerian government finally recognized the right of the Biafran people to determine their own future. They insisted that the focus should not be on compensation or apologies, but on securing a future where they could live in dignity and self-determination. As I listened to these passionate voices, I began to understand that the situation in Orlu, Imo State, was more than just a clash between armed forces. It was a microcosm of a much larger struggle that had been unfolding for decades, a struggle for identity, justice, and the right to be heard. The heavy gun battle that had erupted between the Biafran Defense Force and the Nigerian army was only one chapter in a long and painful history of conflict. It was a reminder of how deeply divided the nation had become, and of the human cost that lay hidden behind every political maneuver and military engagement. I thought about the families who had lost loved ones in the crossfire, about the young people who had been forced to grow up too quickly in a world where violence was the norm, and about the elderly who could only watch in despair as the future they had known slipped away. The images of burned-out houses, deserted streets, and tearful farewells played over and over in my mind, a constant reminder that in the midst of political strife, it was always the ordinary people who paid the highest price. The pain of displacement, the sorrow of loss, and the lingering fear of what the next day might bring. These were the realities that many were forced to face, and they served as a stark contrast to the lofty debates about compensation and political autonomy. I remember having long conversations with friends and family about what was happening, trying to piece together the various accounts and understand the full picture. Some of us were overwhelmed by a sense of helplessness, feeling that the cycle of violence and repression was unbreakable. Others, however, clung to the hope that by shedding light on these issues and by demanding accountability from those in power, change could eventually be achieved. We spoke about the need for real reform, not just in the military or the police, but in the very structures that governed our society. We wondered if a day might come when the voices of the people would be heard over the din of gunfire and political rhetoric, when justice would be more than just a promise, and when the pain of the past could finally begin to heal. One of the most vivid memories that stayed with me was the description of a scene in a small village in Imo State, recounted by a local television reporter. The reporter described how armed men, dressed in uniforms that seemed to belong to a bygone era of conflict, had been seen patrolling the streets of the village. They moved with an air of authority that left no room for doubt, yet their actions were anything but just. They were not there to protect the people, but to enforce a kind of martial law that was imposed without mercy. I could almost feel the tension in the air as the reporter described how a young man was dragged away from a construction site, his fate uncertain, as if his very identity was being erased by the heavy-handed tactics of the security forces. The reporter's words carried with them a sense of urgency and frustration. He spoke not as a distant journalist, but as someone who was a part of the community, someone who had felt the impact of these events firsthand. His tone was conversational, almost as if he were speaking directly to a friend, and it was in that tone that I found the courage to ask myself what it would be like to live in a place where every day was a struggle for survival. I could almost imagine the sound of footsteps on dusty roads, the hushed whispers of families huddled together in fear, and the distant rumble of military vehicles as they passed by, leaving behind a trail of uncertainty and grief. The ongoing police harassment was another issue that weighed heavily on the minds of those who lived in these troubled times. Many people spoke about how police officers would stop innocent civilians on the street, demanding bribes and searching them without any regard for their rights. I recalled stories of how officers at checkpoints would accept small amounts of money from criminals, allowing them to move freely through the area, while the ordinary citizens were left to suffer the consequences of systemic corruption.
Guys, this is what is happening currently in Omaka. Omaka is a village that is in Orlu local government, that is area of Imo State, the old Imo State, as to say. So this is exactly what is happening right there in Omaka. The Ebubago Asadokubo boys, Musa boys, with other paramilitaries, patrolling the villages in Omaka, arresting innocent ones, buying any young man they see on site. They went to a particular site where house is being built. They drag out one man from that site. They just buy the man or more. What is all this thing happening in Biafran land? If they are looking for the Biafran Liberation Army, they should go into the forest. That is where Biafran Liberation Army are. They should go into the forest and fight them man to man, fight them weapon to weapon, fight them as a man, not going into the streets, arresting young men, arresting our women and children, harassing anyone they see on site. More, that is not the way to do things now. That is not the way to do things.
Go side. Do you leave it like that? Go side.
If you are looking for Biafran Liberation Army, if you are looking for Gentle, if you are looking for Butuzo, if you are looking for Holy Ghost, if you are looking for all these commanders of Biafran Liberation Army, they are not hiding, they are in the forest. Go there and fight them. Stop intimidating innocent civilians that are just doing their normal business. This is the reason why so many people ran away from their ancestral home, and at the end, some people will come up to say that it is the Biafran Liberation Army that chased them away from their ancestral home, but rather it is the Musa boys, the Asadokubo boys, and the other paramilitaries working together with them. Because when they have a hit with the Biafran Liberation Army, and the Biafran Liberation Army were able to defeat them or to do a lot of damages to them, now they will run off and recruit to come back to terrorize the whole area. But the real guys that did that thing to you people have left the area and went into the bush. Go into the bush and fight them and stop terrorizing people. Go in their normal business. So I don't know when all these things is going to stop in Biafran land.
Let me go straight to the news because I don't want us to be long here. Ohaneze seeks for 10 trillion naira from Tinubu and seeks for apology from the Tinubu administration over the 1966 coup that was just reviewed by the former president of Nigeria, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. Okay, just in case most of you has not heard, but I know it's out there, that Babangida said the coup that happened in 1966 was actually not an Igbo coup. So, which means they have killed our people and destroyed lives and property and tagging it an Igbo coup. So today it is out there in the public domain that it is not an Igbo coup. But my own point is that, please, Ohaneze is not speaking for the Biafrans. Ohaneze is speaking for themselves. They are not speaking for us. They are not speaking for us. Instead of Ohaneze to go straight and ask the government of Nigeria, the terrorist government of Nigeria, to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they are asking for compensation and they are asking for apologies, which is not our business. The only way we will seek our exit from Nigeria is Tinubu should sign our exit so that we will be out there heading home. We are not interested of what has happened in 1966 or what has happened before then or after then. We are not interested.
Guys, as you can see, after Babangida revealed the people that did that 1966 coup, that it is not Igbos, Babangida vindicated the Igbos. Now the Ohaneze Igbo stood up and be demanding trillions of naira from the federal government and apology. Is that the first thing they're supposed to do? Why is everything in this life all about money, 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 money? The Ohaneze are demanding money so that if that money is being given to them, they will share the money among themselves. They are not even demanding for the betterment of Igbos. They are not even demanding for the betterment of the whole Biafrans. They are not even demanding for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. They are not even demanding for the release of Simon Ekpa. They are not even demanding for Biafra to stand as a nation of its own. Rather, they are demanding for money. That's why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will sometimes call them Oteleshuas. What they are demanding is not wise at all. Imagine looking at Stephen Cross here, who placed them where they belong, telling them what to do.
Telling the federal government, we don't care. All we know is that we have submitted our document of recognition to the illegitimate president of Nigeria, which is Tinubu. So please, Tinubu, sign that for us to exit Nigeria, so that, you know, we will stop terrorizing Nigeria. You have called us a terrorist, so there is no need of coming to beg, of coming to compensate. Just the only thing we needed from you is to sign our exit from Nigeria. Thank you so much, Biafrans, and may God bless you guys. If you don't, then I will keep repeating this. Nigeria will be worse than Somalia. It's not a threat, but it's just the reality. Thank you so much.
So this Igbo of a coup be this thing where they go online. So according to the news, say the demand for over 10 trillion compensation. Well, as soon as the demand for the compensation, so because you know, say they don't cost Igbo, Nigeria don't cost Igbo a lot of things, a lot of pains. That one day, yes, that one day. Me, I no go there against the compensation, the money we una demand for. But the first thing we una supposed to demand for, now the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Yes, no be the money. Because even though if una collect the money self, una no go still use that money well. Una no go still use that money develop una state. Una no go still use that money to the society. Yes, to the poor masses. Yes, now una go still chop the money. Yes, now people wey still dey in power in Igbo go still chop that money. Una no go share. Una no go let the money. Una no go let the money reach the poor people, the poor Igbo. That one dey.
So imagine this Yoruba man telling them what to do and how to go about it. Guys, no be small thing, I'm telling you, no be small thing.
Yes, many of Igbo brothers, they don't really care about that man. I'm not talking of normal guy man Igbo like me. I mean those top one, those one where they collect money now. They know maybe they don't collect. They never collect. I don't know. But those who demand for the money, why they no demand for the release of the Nnamdi Kanu? When I come out for here, Jare, useless people. Anyway, when I want to forget that man there. Igbo people, when I wake up, Nnamdi Kanu supposed to be.
Ụfọdụ be anyị na-eche na efe akwụkwọ ife gbasara Mazi Nnamdi Kanu va akpụrụfa. Ọ depend ife ikwuru. Yọta. So many people want to run okwu kpachiri nkịtị since eji jide Maazị Nnamdi Kanu na-ekwubi okwu gbasara Maazị Nnamdi Kanu bụ aja. Ọ dịzie ka nwanne ya nwụrụ mmadụ. Mgbe Ego Flavor gụrụ egwu wee gụsịa na-agụ egwu ya, n'ime egwu o tinye Nnamdi Kanu jisi ike. Ịghọtago? Sị gị Nnamdi Kanu jisi ike. Anyị dọnụ na abụọ na kata postuo Maazị Nnamdi Kanu de ya, ịghọtago? Ji nchekwa moral. A lot of people mana ụfọdụ ndị anyị na-eche na afa ga-ebute ụzọ ka anyị na-esozi fa n'azụ ka ekwusigbo okwu ike na gọọmenti adịghị ntị mana fa na fọm def ear. Ndị afọ anyị na-eche ka fa bute ụzọ onwe eze oche ibute ụzọ onwe onye na-ekwu okwu. Kedu ife Nnamdi Kanu melụ ozuru oli mba na ihe kraịm ya bụ na ife a na-eme ụmụ Igbo na ọdọrọ mma si rapụ ụmụ Igbo ka fa naba. Ọkwa ya bụ the whole thing which is ịma na ọ bụrụ a crime. Ịghọtago? So gụbụ onye ọnụ na-elu n'okwu malụ na Nnamdi Kanu jere mụ na gị nga n'ebe ahụ nọ na-abụba ka mụ na gị ọ bụrụ na o nwere ihe ị ga-ekwu ide ekwu ya o make sense. Gọọmenti na-eru oke esi Maazị Nnamdi Kanu anya n'ụlọ gwara ya nwere ndị gagwacha anyị sị ya na ọ bụ na ata elu fa na fa ga-arapụ na fa ga-arapụ Nnamdi Kanu atịghị ego kwelu unu ụfọdụ nọtazi n'oche na n'ofuzie nwanne ya nwoke. Ọ dịrọ mma pụta kwuo okwu ihe na-eme na be gị na South East. Ụfọdụ jụrụ ajụ ịbịa kwuo ihe na-eme na bụ unu kọndemụọ nke kwesị ka a kọndemụọ prezie nke kwesị ka e prezie onwe onye ga-eti gị ihe. That man ọkwefuru ya ọ nọ na AIT de grant interview about Maazị Nnamdi Kanu na-ekwupụrụ onwe ya okwu. O were nke emere na-eme interview ọ bakasịrị ndị ugwu arụ. O ji ekwu ya bụ na o nwere ihe ndị ugwu kwuru gbasara ndị Igbo ọ ji werekwa iwe reply kwa ị na-asị ya na o kwuru edo otu ọ gwa gị na ikwuru edo otu a nke gị bụ ịchọ imegharị arụ ịkwuru ofu ebe nọ n'ebe ego n'isi. Mgbe ọsọ ọ ga-emezi onye afọ na ọ bụ na ekwutere ya onye ọ na-agbachisi nkịtị asị na ọ na-eme nwanne anyị na onwe ya chọrọ ikwu okwu. Ịghọtago? Mana gị onwe gị na ọ na-eme onye ọzọ nụpụta kwuo okwu ị jụrụ ajụ. I was like Odikada man, you know. Okay, for God's sake, kwuru okwu. Ọ dada asọ okwu anya. Ọ na-agwa gị ka o si gwa gị na onye eji enwere ivu ome. Ịghọtago? Nke a ndị kwesịrị na-ekwute okwu Nnamdi Kanu at least godo ọ bụrụ na gọọmenti ji ya n'aka ji ya na agbakwa na aka na-ekwu okwu ya na ụmụnne ya ka na-etikwa okwu ya ọnụ na aka na amakwa na ọnọ nke everywhere just daa jụụ ada anụzi mkpọtụ ndị na-ekwu maka Nnamdi Kanu ọ dịkwazie ka asị efu na onwe ezi mmadụ. Ịghọtago? O wee bụrụ ya biko gụbụ onye Igbo. Ịghọtago? Ịnọ ilotekwere gọọmenti na aka ji Maazị Nnamdi Kanu. Ịghọta? Abụrụ na a na-atụ ya nga sị tụọ ya nga ka o doo anya na atụrụ ya nga osisi ahụ eji abụrụ na atụrụ ya 10 years ka kịta ọ nọrọ n'ọmanye nọọsụ ọna at least ọ nọgoro 4 years. Abụrụ na ya atụ ya nga sị na a ga-arapịa arapụsị rapịa ọ na-eso ejide ya aka na sistem agwụkwa ike. Biko odudo ana m ayọkwụzi ayọ odododonu hapụ ya unu gọọmenti karịrị mmadụ ntụ ozu ejide. O bụ mgbe ndị be anyị na-ekwu na nwa ihe mere Nnamdi Kanu na enu na ana ga-ada nke ejidere ya na o dokweghị anya na ntụ esi ejide na-ekwesịghị ịrapụ ya. Ịghọtago? Mana nwere ife imenwu ị na-eche mgbe ọ nwụrụ mgbe enwe ife mele okwu ife mele okwu ife ga-emenwu ọkwa biko ha nakwa ayọ na aka anyị ga na-ayọkwa dodododo biko Tinubu biko onye ọbụla aka ya dị abịa ife dododo ụnụ nagide nwanne ya nwoke mgbaka amalụ unu mma ezigbote onye Igbo.
So we are still talking about the police brutality. The police brutality is still going on in Nigeria. I don't know when this thing will come to an end. Why are they terrorizing civilians? Why are they intimidating civilians just because of 100 naira bribe? And you are now searching someone's property like this, putting your hands into someone's pockets, bringing out everything, all in the name of to delay them. Now you are doing your work. Let me assume that this is your work you are doing, but you are doing it because bribe was not given to you. So let's say that these people are kidnappers. So if they come to your checkpoint, they'll just give you 100 naira, give you 200 naira, give you 1,000 naira or thereabout, and you just say, you just allow them to go. And that is why all these things is still traveling in our land today, because the security people are not doing their job the way they're supposed to do it. The rule of engagement has been thrown or has been trashed away. They're just doing things in a way that it will please them, and they are just out there to make money. Which way? Guys, upon all the police brutality going on, upon all the NSAS protests, upon all the protests that has gone or still going on in the country, yet these people are still behaving, doing things the way they want to do. May God save us all. Thank you, my fans. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Remember to subscribe to us, Magnetic Jigs TV. We remain the best.
Alright, thank you. Yes.
Hey, wife. That double access.
Yes.
Let me see.
Why? Why? My own?
That lady.
My own?
You are Mr. Godwin.
Yes, I'm Mr. Gordon.
Good job.
Good your job. Oh no.
Let me see your double access.
You want to see my driving license? Okay. Oh. This is my driving license.
Godwin. Alan Jose. Let me see this.
No, you don't have any right to see any other person's driving license, no.
No. It's good to know.
No, it's not. It's not your. It's not your. It's not your. It's not your duty. I'm sorry. Your duty is me. It is me that you stop.
No, we are here or stop and search.
But you don't have a right to tell anybody else's property. That is somebody else's identity now. What do you need it for? That is somebody else's identity. What do you need it for?
If that person is safe or something.
The person is safe. Don't worry, safe.
Eh?
The person is safe. Don't worry.
The person is safe.
Yeah.
Well, you are the one telling us that he's safe. But we are a law enforcement agent now.
I'm also a law-abiding citizen of the country. Have I not been?
So if you see somebody property your vehicle, you need to explain to us in detail that this person.
I've explained to you in details.
This is my son.
The only thing I owe you, sorry officer, listen. Yes. The only thing I owe you is my driving license and my car paper.
This now people miss on a daily basis.
Any other thing about this car, I am not giving you consent about it. The only thing I owe you is this paper and this driving license, nothing else.
So if
it is not your duty, officer.
We are this to protect our property. Are you aware?
I'm a law-abiding citizen too now.
No, you are
officer, you are actually delaying me. I've given you my car paper, my driving license.
Somebody passed.
That is you prognosing on somebody else.
Tell us.
You are prognosing that you are being now. You are being nosy.
We have right to ask who is that person.
You don't have rights.
Yes, we have
you
rights.
don't have rights.
Can you find?
How can you be asking me about somebody else that is not in this car? So I don't understand.
Somebody.
Mr. Man, you don't have any other business in this car as a whole than this car paper and this driving license.
We have right to ask that.
You don't have rights.
We have
the person is not here. Is there any complainant? What are you looking for in that place?
If that person is weak
My
enough.
friend, can you please just attend to me? I want to go. Thank you.
Can you put the call to anybody?
Can you please attend to me?
You can call a senior officer.
Officer, can you please attend to me so I can go? I have given you my car.
And so you are above the police?
I'm not above the police.
So we can
you stopped me. I stopped very well.
Nobody will fault us for doing that.
You asked me for my car paper. I give it to you.
Somebody driving license original.
Oh God, officer, can you please attend to me? Let me go.
If I see it and I delay tally, Your surname. I will know that it's your wife.
Officer, can you please attend to me? Let me go. Thank you.
We are not above the law.
I am not above the law.
I'm not got contrary to the law. I'm not got outside
Officer,
the law.
I'm not here to do this.
But we are so what to be difficult now.
I'm sorry. Please attend to me.
We see somebody driving and say, who is that person?
Oh, officer, please attend to me. Let me go now.
You owe us explanation to that effect. You owe us explanation to that effect.
Officer, I've heard you, sorry.
I was even talking to
I have heard you, officer, sorry. I have heard you now. I have heard you, Mr.
Who is that person?
Oh, God.
Who is that person? Who is that person?
Officer, I am not giving you.
IG will not fault me for that.
I am not giving you any other consent apart from my car paper and my driving license.
My brother, IG will not fault me for asking that.
I'm not here to drag anything with you. All I'm saying is,
we see somebody.
Officer, I have heard you. I understand what you said, right? All I'm saying is, I am
is
not.
That person your sister,
Officer,
your wife?
Can I speak? Can I speak?
Yeah, speak.
I am not giving you any other consent.
We are not quarreling with you.
And let me speak now.
Mr. Godwin.
Yes, I want to speak.
No.
Let me. You asked me to speak now.
No.
Let me speak. Let me speak.
We are not quarreling.
I'm not quarreling with you. I want to speak. I'm not being difficult.
Bros.
The only consent I am giving you, as at now, is this car paper and driving license. Any other consent, I am not giving you. If I want to give you any other consent now, it has to be, for example, maybe my lawyer is the only person I can furnish that information to, and he can talk to you. The only talk I have with you right now.
So guys, try and watch this video to the end of it. Remember, let's interact in our comment section. Let's interact in a very polite way. And this is police people searching this young man's car. I don't know what they are trying to find in that car, but I think they are doing their work. Well, once again, thank you everyone for watching this video. Let us interact in our comment section. We love you all. Bye.
This is my brother.
Okay.
You know the reason? Now this country is some area we are not safe.
Okay.
They used to kidnap people on a daily basis.
Yes, that's true.
Their property prevention, the property of that victim can be your vehicle. And not the law of searching. Police can discover it and lay out on that particular thing.
Yes, you're
and
right.
if person is being picked to you, if you're unable to answer police a concrete answer to that effect, you lose suspicious.
I can answer you that question in a civil, or let me say a civilized country.
Civilized
apart
country.
from Nigeria.
Nigeria, they are not civilized.
Hold on, you have spoken. Let me speak. The only reason why I won't answer this is because if I answer you this now, it's not going to now erupt another discussion entirely. That is how police does in Nigeria.
We should not have bad impression of the country.
It's the truth I am speaking. If I want to answer you about this driving license, who is this person here, I can give that consent to my lawyer only.
Okay.
My lawyer now will now be the one to now talk to you about whoever that is here. But as I'm sitting down here, the only consent I can give you is my car paper and my driving license. Any other question you want to ask me now, I can give that consent to my lawyer and he will speak to you people, not me again. Do you understand? The reason is because we're in a country where some policemen, let me use the word some policemen, will divert everything and put it to somewhere else. But are you getting my, I get your point. But do you get my point as well?
I'm with you.
So that's it. That's why.
It's not all police.
That's why I said some. You understand? That's the reason why I use the word some. Some policemen, right? This thing now can now lead to many shagets. That's why I'm saying I am not giving you consent because it happens.
Mr. Godwin,
you understand?
Every woman that does evil,
okay,
will repeat.
Normal. Even life, I say, oh, even me. You understand?
Anyone that fabricate offense,
you understand?
Innocent, it will repeat.
Because everything you said, I understand. You are right. But you understand my whole point too, right?
You.
That's
it's
it.
not police that do that.
I understand. That's why I use the word some.
God forbid. I will not do that.
Thank you very much.
In case next time, my brother, if anything in your vehicle, if not belongs to your family, you have your conscience.
No, my conscience is true. I can defend this, but I just don't want something that will now be prolonging matters.
It's all police.
Do you understand me? Thank you, my man.
No.
Take care. Eh?
Ordinarily, you look like to
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.